Ken, and then was it Scott also?
Sorry, guys, I had to join by phone because my speakers kept going out on me. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. Fred, thanks for joining us.
Anytime. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Have you had the chance to meet Mayor Keener and Tina Iftiger from Reno Tahoe?
The mayor and I have run into each other a couple hundred times, and I think Tina and I have met a few times at a few conferences in the past. So, general answer, yes.
Good. So the mayor is our the chair of the commission, and Tina is the vice chair. So this is a good team we've got put together.
Sorry, having some microphone issues. I apparently update my software one more time. So.
And Stephen, Ken Moen's on. I'm dialing in.
Great.
Thanks for being here, Ken.
All right, we'll just give it another minute here before we officially start.
Looks like Scott has joined, so I think the gang's all here, Mayor.
Great. All right. Well, without further ado, we might as well get going. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Air Service Development Commission Subcommittee meeting for December 13th. And let the record reflect that all of our subcommittee members are present, including Tina, Ken, and Scott, and myself. And at this time, did I miss anyone on the subcommittee?
No, I think that's it.
At this time, is there any public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our possible action item, which includes discussion and possible action regarding Air Service Development Commission strategic planning. And I'll go ahead and turn it back to you, Stephen.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Keener. I'll be very brief. I put this on the agenda as a possible action item just in case you guys decided to take some formal action, but it's really meant to be a discussion between the four of you and Fred about how, and his team here, and thanks you guys for joining us as well, about how that strategic planning process works, and then to get feedback and direction from you so that everybody's on the same page as we move forward. I will let you all know we are still working through the contract issue. We had a member of our team that handled all that stuff leave, and unfortunately this is one of the things that was left undone when that happened. So we're still trying to work through that, but Fred is aware, and we have other contracts with them for things, so he knows he's going to get paid. And it was approved not only by our executive director, by you guys. So everybody's confident that we're moving in the same direction. We'll take care of the paperwork on the back end when it gets there. I'm happy to be able to bring everybody together. And Fred and your team, thanks for making the time to do this. I think it's important. So I guess if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'll pass it over to Fred and he can give an overview, and then you guys can have a discussion.
Great, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Steinman.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and of course, members of the subcommittee. For the record, Fred Steinman, Director of the University Center for Economic Development here at the University of Nevada. With me is Nathan Strong. Nate is one of our strategic planning coordinators for USED, and Finn Bruner, who's on a letter of appointment with the University Center for Economic Development. Nate and Finn will actually kind of be doing the bulk of the work on this project. Obviously as director, I'm here to support their efforts. This kind of came about, obviously, as you said, continue to work with the Nevada Aviation Association on a very broad and very expanded effort to examine kind of the airport aeronautics industry sector in the Western and Intermountain Western United States. And again, Ken, my thanks to the association for your continued involvement there. Finn really did a lot of the heavy lifting, if you will, in terms of a lot of on-the-ground research for that particular initiative. So he has now a very intimate understanding of the aeronautics and aviation industry sector throughout the entire state of Nevada and more broadly throughout the Western and Intermountain Western United States. So I've asked Finn to continue working in this particular space. Of course, while I was on an extended medical leave, Nate Strong stepped up and, kind of continued the work on revisions to the project for the Aviation Association. So given Nate's expertise and experience now, he makes an excellent fit to kind of lead on behalf of USAID this strategic planning effort. The proposal is pretty straightforward. Hopefully we'll be able to kind of complete an abbreviated strategic planning process in a single day. We're more than happy to kind of extend that to a second day at a date and time convenient for the committee and committee stakeholders if we need to. But generally in the strategic planning process, we want to be able to develop for a 5-year strategic planning horizon, a mission, a vision, a set of goals and accompanying objectives and actionable items, as well as performance metrics that we would utilize to evaluate progress on the strategic plan for that 5-year planning horizon on an annual basis. The good news is there hasn't really been anything new in the world of strategic planning for about 50 years. So, strategic planning is a very straightforward process. That said, we want to make sure that, the work that we do on our end, is customized and really speaks to the needs of the commission, as well as the broader aviation and aeronautics industry sector as well. Again, that's kind of my quick overview, and as Steve pointed out, no worries about the fixed fee contract and all of that. We'll continue to work forward, moving forward. Certainly understand personnel changes happen. Our administrative assistant here at USAID actually began her own extended medical leave about a week ago, so she won't be back until mid or so January. So she's the one that usually processes and administers all these types of agreements. So we have a little shortage in our personnel as well, but that won't interfere in actually starting the work and continuing the work moving forward. With that, myself, Nate, or Finn, we're certainly happy to field any questions that you, Mr. Mayor, or members of the subcommittee might have regarding the proposal or the scope of work.
Great. So did I understand then, Fred, if the subcommittee then approves this today, you guys would be able to get started on it right away without further ado?
Yep. I mean, obviously we're running into the holiday break,
Sure.
so that's probably going to delay things a little bit, but we would essentially effectively use today, December 13th, as the start date of the project. So, we'll probably start doing some back of house stuff, just in some data collection and analysis work, pulling stuff out of the project we've done for the Aviation Association, just so that we can be ready to schedule the first one-day strategic planning workshop.
Right. And then what would you anticipate the duration of the study would be?
Again, we have tentatively planned for one strategic planning workshop. When we get that, actual one-day virtual strategic planning workshop scheduled, that'll probably dictate, the remainder of the time to actually write this strategic plan. But I imagine, given that it's a bit of a truncated process, like if we were to do the workshop in January, we would probably have a draft of the plan by the end of February, beginning of March.
Okay. Good. And then with the strategic plan address the legislative session at all? I'm just wondering if that's something that would be a component in terms of, or maybe that would be beyond the scope of a strategic plan.
I think we'll certainly have some material from the strategic plan if you wanted to incorporate it into efforts with the legislative session. Certainly, given that it's a 5-year strategic plan, there is another legislative session within that 5-year window. So we'd probably want to develop goals and objectives and actionable items to take into consideration not just the coming legislative session, but that next legislative session that is also in this 5-year window.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Do any of the other board members have any questions for Fred or any of the other team, Nate or Finn?
This is Chair Keener. This is Ken Moen. Fred, my only question or comment would be in that back of the house, could you plot out a rough schedule, like maybe a proposed date for the initial meeting that we could start looking ahead to, and then maybe a couple other dates for the review cycle and that sort of thing, just with your brief outline that you gave towards the March kind of end date?
Sure. That shouldn't be a problem. I can, as soon as this meeting's done, reach out to Nate and Finn, and we can start looking at our calendars and maybe put together a dozen or so options, for that first strategic planning workshop.
Super. And then maybe backfill like a timeline going forward until we get to that proposed end date, so we kind of have a rough schedule.
Yep. No problem at all.
Super. Thank you.
And if I could, Chair Keener, that workshop will have to be an open meeting and I guess so, I'll, lean on your discretion as well as Fred's, his preference here, but I don't know if that's better that the subcommittee do that workshop or if it's better that the entire commission be involved in that. That's up to you. I think we would, so these meetings are quarterly of the full commission. So certainly I think it's possible that next commission meeting could be done, potentially in early January, and that could be the workshop if that works. But totally up to you if you want to keep it smaller and do it in the subcommittee. Just let me know. And Fred, if you would, those communications as far as the schedule and stuff, if you'll send them to myself and our Nate, Go Ed Nate, I'll call you Go Ed Nate for purposes of this meeting. We can distribute those to the commissioners at the advice of the chair.
No problem.
Great. I do like that meeting or that idea of including the full commission, and just want to make sure I'm not alone and supported on that. See what the other subcommittee members, where they're at on that.
This is Tina. I support that approach. And using our next commission meeting for it, I think that's a great idea.
Sorry to
Scott,
step
are
over
you
you,
good with?
Tina. I support that as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. It looks like that's unanimous. So I think we should plan to include the full board, and that can be our meeting then for the month of January. And Fred, will it be necessary just to have one focus meeting with the group? Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, given that we're trying to get it all kind of done in one workshop, we probably need the full meeting to do it.
Okay. Great. I'm going to need
Chair, I think I'm sorry. I just think any subsequent required meetings after that to fine tune, I think that's a great thing for the subcommittee to do.
Great. Yeah, no, and I'll need to lean on the other members of the board with their aviation expertise when we get down to having that full board meeting. All right, is there anything else for Fred's team? I think that the project proposal looked really good to me, and those were the only several questions that I had. So I'm very favorable toward moving forward on this. And just to recap, Stephen, you indicated that GoEd had willingness to fund the 2,500 study. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's what you all approved at the last commission meeting with Director Burns, his consent to pay for that. So yeah, we have a fund for studies and things like that. So we have enough money in that fund to pay for this. So yes, that's we will execute once we can. We'll execute the scope of work that you all approved as essentially a contract with you said to do this.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, I'm ready for a motion on this item.
And Chair, you're free to accept a motion and take a vote on this, but I'll just say it's not necessary. You guys already did approve this.
Okay.
I did put this as an action item in case you wanted to do something or take a more formal action to perhaps make a formal recommendation on this to the rest of the board. But I think based on the discussion that we've had, we're all in agreement that we're moving forward as previously approved. So it's up to you, but I don't think it's entirely necessary to take a vote.
All right. Well, you know what? I called for the motion. Let's go ahead and just get it on the record and get the votes recorded. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Right. Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
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 And I also vote aye. Any dissenters? All right, motion passes unanimously. Right.
Love it.
It isn't on the agenda, but I'll just call for. Are there any reports from anyone?
Nope, I'm very excited to get this process started.
Me as well. It'll be great to be able to get it early in the legislative session as well. So terrific. Any final public comment?
And Mayor Keener, if I could take a minute here,
Sure.
just for this group under public comment. As y'all know, in my role as Director of Strategy and Public Policy for GoEd, the legislative session is going to be extremely busy for me, and I'm probably not going to have time to do some of the work that I've done with you guys during that time period. So Nate, GoEd Nate, sorry, will probably be taking the lead on that. So for, probably starting, I'll obviously help him with that meeting that we talked about in January, but after that through June, he'll probably be your main point of contact, and probably after that as well if he takes over this commission. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, and also say that it's been a pleasure working with you all and getting this commission stood up. So thanks, and I'll see you on the back end.
Great. All right, Stephen, thank you so much for all the work that you've done, and been a pleasure collaborating with you. And congratulations on being able to pass the baton off to Nate. Nate, I'll look forward to working with you in the future as well.
And Nate will do a great job. He loves all this planning stuff. That's his thing, not mine. So that'll be good.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Hey, well, thank you, Stephen. And do we have Nate's contact information in that last email? I was just trying to pull that up.
Yeah, I saw it.
He should be on the calendar invite, but I'll be sure to do
Okay.
a soft handoff so that everybody has what they need.
Super.
Great. All right, if there's nothing further, thank you, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Have a safe and
Indeed.
prosperous New Year, and we'll all be in touch.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone.
Christmas.
Great
Thank you.
weekend.
Thank you all.
Bye now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.